In this tutorial, I'll show you how to add a score text display to a web-based 10-pin bowling game that I've been developing. Using blend4web's project manager, I have several bowling projects that I have created as I've developed the game. To copy what I do in this tutorial, you only need to make one project, but you need to download the Blender file and the JavaScript file, both of which you can download from my website. Change Blender Render to blend4web and click Project Manager. Click Hide Stock Projects. Scrolling down, I have two bowling projects, My Bowling and My Bowling 2. Both the Blender files are the same. The My Bowling 2 project has extra code that moves the ball to the left and to the right and starts the ball rolling. The starting point for this tutorial is the Blender file. I'm clicking the link to open it, and I'm going to create a new project, scroll up and click Create New Project. I'm going to call the new project My Bowling 3. Scroll down and click Create Project. Click Back to Projects and go into Blender. Looking at the names of the skittles, the first skittle was called Skittle. The first duplicate was called Skittle 001. The other duplicates were numbered up to Skittle 009. To be consistent in the naming, I'm going to rename the first skittle Skittle 000. Next, I'm going to overwrite the dummy mybowling3.blend file. In Blender, File, Save As, go to the blend4web folder, the projects folder, My Bowling 3, Blender, click on the file and click Save As to overwrite it. The Blender file isn't used on the internet. The 3D scene has to be exported in the JSON format. It is the JSON file that is loaded into a web browser. To overwrite the dummy JSON file, File Export, blend4web JSON, make sure you're in the Projects My Bowling 3 Assets folder, click on the JSON file and click Export to overwrite it. Now that we have overwritten the Blender and the JSON file, click the Edit link and click the link for the JavaScript file, the .js file, to add the code to make the scene interactive. Here is a full listing of the code in a text editor. I'm using Notepad++, but you can use any text editor. I'll put the JavaScript file for you to download at my website. I'm going to copy over the additional code, and then I'll go through and explain the code that is new for this tutorial. The first thing to copy over is the extra blend4web modules that are used. Right-click Copy, click right-click Paste. Next, there are some settings that are used when the ball is moved from side to side to aim. Right-click Copy, click right-click and Paste. Scrolling down to the section where it says Place your code here. To release the left and right arrow keys from the camera so that we can use them to aim the ball, we need to copy these parameters over. Scroll down, click, right-click and paste. Next, there are calls to three functions. The first two are new, and I will go through them explaining them. The third controls the ball, and I covered that in previous tutorials. highlight the calls, right-click, copy, click, right-click and paste. Finally, I'm going to copy over the functions. There are the 3 main functions plus 2 sub-functions. Highlight them, right-click and copy, click, right-click and paste, click Save and back to projects. Click the link for the web page and hope that it works. If it doesn't, my tutorial on the web console simple debugging may help. Next, I'm going to go through the new code to explain what it does. Function create text display will be familiar to those who've seen my tutorials on the other games that I'm developing. It creates a text display to display the score and other game parameters. A div HTML page element is created, which is a container box for the text. Most of the code styles the text. We don't need to set the initial value of the text because it is continuously updated by another function. Next is the check skittles function. This variable stores the score and its initial value is set to 0. These are the names of the skittles in the Blender scene. Get object by name skittle.000 returns a link to the first skittle, so these variables store links to the skittles. These variables store the state of the skittles, whether they've been knocked down or not. At the beginning of the game, the upright state of the skittles is set to true. Next, we come to the callback function. I'm going to come back to this after we've looked at the sensor manifold. A sensor manifold links sensors to a callback function. For example, if we had a collision sensor and something collided with the object, the callback function would be called. With this particular manifold, the only thing that's important is the execution mode and the callback function. Because the logic function always returns true and the execution mode is continuous, the callback function will be called every frame regardless of any events that might happen. So the skittles callback function is called continuously, but what is in it? Well, the getTranslation function returns the X, Y and Z location of the skittles. The X location has an array index of 0, the Y an index of 1 and the Z an index of 2. These are the Z locations of the skittles. An upright skittle has a Z location of about 0.7. A knocked over skittle has a Z location of about 0.3. If the Z location is less than 0.5, the skittle being upright is set to false. In the next line, I use a bit of a trick to calculate the score. Knowing that true is stored in the computer as 1 and false is stored in the computer as 0, I add up all the upright skittles and subtract the total from 10 to give the score. This line updates the score text. It is inside the callback function, so the score is continuously updated. In the next tutorial, I will develop the game so that you have 2 shots at the skittles. That's the end of this tutorial. I'll put the files used in the tutorial for you to download at my website. To visit my website, click the eye icon in the top right hand corner. To subscribe, click the stickman. To sponsor my tutorials, click the Patreon link. Thanks for watching and goodbye.